Manchester United have been on the brink of some horrific refereeing and VAR decisions. Even the game against Sunderland the other day, they had to do a penalty check because the ball hit the player in the face and he fell to the ground in case Sesko had hit him in the face, which I thought was just crazy. But there were some big mistakes in the Brentford game the game before, and the PGMOL have come out and apologised to Manchester United for that and pretty much confirmed, yeah, they got it wrong. Like, we were cheated in that game. We didn't deserve to beat Brentford. I'm not saying that we should have beat Brentford, but the way that Brentford made those subs, the way that the Nathan Collins didn't get sent off, we're going to talk about that. Lammens working incredibly hard in training. Hojlund's exit almost confirmed. Rashford's exit closer, and that, according to Romano, is looking like guaranteed, and that is €70 million double exit boost, which can go into our transfer budget to improve the midfield. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news, and update show. I say transfer news, there's not really much transfer news in terms of ins, but in terms of outs, we're going to round up all the latest Manchester United news in 10 minutes for you guys. If you're new to the channel and you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe, feel free to like if you like these 10-minute roundups, but I want to talk about VAR, and I'm glad they're admitting their mistake, but it's too little, too late. So, Howard Webb, who is the referee's bosses, acknowledged to Manchester United that the decision to not send off Brentford's Nathan Collins last week was incorrect. And it was such an obvious decision. If it's a penalty, it's got to be a red card. It's a goal scoring opportunity. Like, it wasn't like, oh, is it clear and obvious? It was clear and obvious. You know how, like, sometimes they make weird decisions in football? Like, this is a handball, and you're like, but is it though? But, oh, in the rule book, this is a handball. So you can kind of get around why VAR would give this decision or that decision, because in the rule book, that's what it states, even though I'm a bit like, this was in the rule book. If you deny a goal scoring opportunity, which it was, it's a red card. And if it's a foul, it's a red card. And it was a foul because he gave a penalty. So why wasn't a red card? It wasn't just the fact that the red card wasn't given. I think it took like nearly 9 minutes before the foul of Bruno taking the penalty. And if the wait was less, maybe Bruno scores that. You never know. Because I just look at it and I just think Brentford then could make 3 subs. And if Bruno scores that penalty, which he didn't, who knows if he would have scored if, you know, the red card and if the subs weren't made. But if Bruno scores that, it's 2-2 and we've got 11 versus 10. And we could go on and win that game 3-2. And if we go on and win that game versus Brentford 3-2, we'd have 3 more points on the table. Now, look, we didn't deserve to get 3 points versus Brentford. We were atrocious. But we'd be on 13 points if we won that game, which is the same amount of points as Manchester City in 5th. That would put us above Crystal Palace in 6th. And we'd be 3 points off top had we got 3 points versus Brentford, which is pretty mad to say. Had, you know, they've been down to 10 men, we scored the penalty, made it 2-2. Now, obviously, we probably wouldn't have won that game. And obviously, Bruno missed the penalty. But we were cheated. I'm sorry, I felt cheated. It was so obvious a red card. Like, it wasn't like, is it clear and obvious? No, it was a red card. And there's so many bad decisions that have been given. If they'd have given a penalty against Sesko to Sunderland the other day, I would have lost my mind. But VAR needs to improve because it's too little too late. It's all good at having an apology, but what does the apology actually do? What does this apology actually do? Because it's a bit late. I don't like these apologies. I just feel like that isn't a decision that qualified referees at the top should be getting wrong. That isn't a decision you should be getting wrong. There's sometimes decisions where it's close and I get why they've gone one way or the other, even though I disagree with it. But that was obvious. When you had Arsenal fans even doing content like, yeah, that was a red card, it says it all. Now, I could sit here and rant about referees, this and that, but it would just be a little bit pointless ranting about referees and everything. I want to talk about Lammens, I want to talk about the transfer news, I want to talk about a few other things. But it was said by Sully, who gets a lot of inside information in and around Carrington in the camp, the staff and players have been impressed with Sen Lammens' work ethic in training since joining. He has been doing extra fitness sessions plus staying on the grass after team sessions to practice his distribution, first in, last out. So that's good to see. I did a video the other week about the players being shot by Lammens in training, and the Manchester United players and coaches had come out and made comments about how good Lammens was in training, and there was a lot of positive talk about how good Lammens has been in training, this and that. And I said, well, if he's this good in training, why aren't we going to see him start? And we finally start him and we get our first clean sheet. But the staff and players have been really impressed, not with just how good he's been in training, but the work ethic. They think he's really well. And he's been doing a lot of extra fitness sessions and staying on grass after team sessions to practice distribution and more. Because Lammens, if you look at him as a player and at Royal Antwerp and his time, he's known as a shot stopper. He's not known for being good at distributing. But right now, Anana was meant to be good at distributing, and David De Gea was a good shot stopper that wasn't good at distributing. And right now, I'd rather have a good goalkeeper at stopping shots than a good goalkeeper at distributing and letting in easy goals. So if Lammens can claim crosses and is a shot stopper, I'm happy with that. We'll see how his distribution develops. But I think football's going back. If you look at Man City getting Donnarumma, he's not a distributing player, he's a shot stopper. The fact that Man City have gone for Donnarumma rather than a ball-playing keeper, a lot of the top teams are now going for shot stoppers over ball-playing keepers, because I think having a good shot stopper is more important than having a good ball-playing keeper. Ideally, you want someone like Alisson that can do both. But I think Lammens is decent with his feet. I thought he was decent at playing the ball, and I'm not saying that he's not a good ball-playing keeper, but he's obviously known to be a shot stopper, and it's good to see he's working on improving his stuff. So continuing on, talking about another player that's improving, Rasmus Hojlund has scored again for Napoli, and I'm really happy for Hojlund to continue getting the goals. That's 3 goals in his last 2 games. I think he's got 5 goals for Napoli now, or is it 4? I can't remember, but it's good to see Hojlund scoring, and when he gets service, he does score, and of course it is an easier league. But let's talk about Hojlund and his future, because he's doing well at Napoli. If Napoli get top 4, then the option to buy becomes an obligation. Hojlund is at Napoli with an obligation to buy if Napoli get Champions League football. And Napoli getting Champions League football is like Arsenal or Liverpool getting Champions League football. They are the favourites to get Champions League football. And right now, Napoli are obviously doing really well in the Serie A. They're at the top with 15 points after 6 games. And Hojlund has scored in many of those games, which is good to see. I think Hojlund has 3 or is it 2 goals in the league, which is good to see. So it looks like Hojlund's move could become a permanent. So this is what Romano said. Romano and Hojlund's loan move to Napoli guaranteed to become a permanent. The Napoli intervention, very clear apart from the obligation to buy included in the deal of 44 million euros plus 6 million euro loan fee, so that's 50 million euros. Buy option that becomes an obligation. Now, it's believed it becomes an obligation if Hojlund reaches a certain amount of starts or a certain amount of goals and they get Champions League football. Romano said apart from the obligation they trigger or not, Napoli want to keep the player. Napoli trust Hojlund. Napoli see Hojlund as part of their long-term future. So it's a loan with a buy option that might become an obligation, but it's seen by all parties involved now in the deal as a future permanent transfer almost guaranteed. So saying right now Hojlund is a loan and it's an option to buy, but it'd be an obligation to buy if obviously Napoli get Champions League football. But right now those at Napoli, even if they don't get Champions League football, are looking at Hojlund as, look, this is going to be a permanent deal. This is going to be a permanent transfer. That's how Napoli are looking at it with Hojlund. They almost expect this to be a permanent deal, which means that's 50 million euros guaranteed. We'll also guarantee 30 million euros for Marcus Rashford because of the £26 million buy option. But if Rashford fails to do well at Barcelona in the second half of the season, that may not happen. But if Marcus Rashford continues on like he is at Barcelona, we'll get £26 million, which is 30 million euros. And it was said by Romano that he thinks there's a very good chance to see Rashford and Barcelona continue together in the future. The club internally are very happy about his behaviour, training hard and very professional. There's a positive feeling as of now because Rashford scored a brilliant goal today. Barcelona want to trigger the clause for Rashford as of now. And if he continues to stick this way, they will. They're not going to trigger it in October. They'll probably trigger it March, April time. But they plan to. Right now, Napoli are planning to buy Hojlund permanently. Barcelona are planning to get Rashford permanently, which is 50 plus 30, which is 80. I think I said 70 million at the beginning of the video. But that's nearly £80 million that could potentially be confirmed for Manchester United, which will probably pay off Baleba, because Baleba's been crap this season. He was hooked off again in 50 minutes. I think Baleba's price tag at half. But if Wharton having a 65 million buyout clause next summer, apparently a release clause, with Baleba's price tag going down, if we're getting 80 million for Hojlund and Rashford, 80 million euros, which is about 70 million pounds for Hojlund and Rashford, and the wages saved, we can put that into the midfield, and that would be great to see. Anyway, people, thank you for watching today's 10-minute roundup. Let me know your thoughts down below. See you next time. Bye.